Welcome, welcome. Isabel Bradburn Jackson with Dear Divine Goddess and myself, Jennifer Bulbrook with I Am Somebody, is putting together this docu-series, Lost Souls Initiative, where we're taking people's stories and sharing them with the world. And today we are welcoming Paul with us. So welcome, Paul. Thank you for coming and being open to sharing your story with not only us, but with everybody else.
Well, thanks for having me.
So, I guess, like, let's start with just you kind of telling us a little bit about you, who you are, and I guess your journey with the whole mental health jazz.
I guess I've been battling mental health since I was younger, always hyperactive and bored and kind of death defying and having some carelessness. Um, been psychiatric help through most of middle school and high school and that, and had a lot of challenges, suffered with different doses, and that also led to multiple suicide attempts. Flatlined 3 times purposely on my own, and 3 times in the help of reckless fights, but still surviving. Yeah, it's such a taboo thing for guys to have feelings, and it's so hard for us to get help. I mean, I've crashed a few times. My last time, actually coming up on Thursday, will be 2 years of alcohol free for me. And
Congrats.
what actually coincided was 2 years ago, I was still drinking way too much. Like, I just, enough was never enough. And chemical imbalance with alcohol and other substances and depression and anxiety and everything. It led me to just, I tend to black out and go off the deep end sometimes. And fortunately, it usually ends up in sometimes crazy attempts to kill myself. I tried to have the cops shoot me, tried to start a hubbub, and I ended up thankfully in hospital for 7 weeks. It took me almost 2 weeks to just sweat out the alcohol while I was in psychiatric care. I was in lockdown for the first 2 weeks. Plus, it was all during COVID at the beginning there, too. I mean, that was just my more recent stay. I've had, unfortunately, a few stays in the St. Joe's wards. I will say, though, the newer facility is much better than the 10th floor in the hospital downtown. But yeah, just the alcohol and all the substances, like nothing is right. Your brain is just like everything's like jello, kind of like an acid mushroom trip, because you don't know what's what. You make things up in your mind. Like, I got shown like recordings of myself where I had no recollection and a totally different outlook on things because I couldn't talk to anybody, so I just bottled things up and I drink, and then I get into some of the drugs, and then I get upset and get in a fight or fight with my family. And then you end up getting in trouble with the police sometimes too. It's just, it can be such a bad thing. And it's, you try and talk to your buddies, oh, you're not a man, you're just a fucking punk, you're a pussy, shit, stuff like, it's
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about that with guys and feelings, and then like your diagnoses too. Like, do you have any current diagnoses that you kind of
uh,
like um
borderline personality security. I have anxiety. Um, I have suicidal tendencies. I do tend to have emotional outbursts sometimes because, bottling it up and not being able to talk. But then, like, being at the St. Joe's facility was like one of the first overwhelming places where there was a couple groups that were designed strictly for men, so you could kind of start to open up and see. But it's so hard still because everyone's, I'm still kind of from the generation where, the man is the man, but in the same hand, man, there shouldn't be anything wrong with crying and caring. Like,
yeah.
you shouldn't have people shun you and make fun of you because, like, man, yeah, I got issues. I take medication and stuff, and I'm sorry if that bothers you, but I'm just trying to be right for me and my family. Like it's not easy, man. And even to talk about it with some of your friends and that, 'cause they, behind your back, I know people still talk about me. It still goes on to this day because I don't tell them what's going on, so they just make up their own stories. You know what?
Mhm.
Hey, that's good for them because I don't have time to try and sort through my mental inhibitions and to deal with your bullshit. If you don't get the fact that I'm emotional, I have feelings, and things hurt me and bother me, well, sorry about your luck that you don't have any emotions and you don't care about people. Sometimes it becomes, I become over affectionate because if I'm lost in my own head, I don't know, just want to, so I just want to try, I don't know, try and help other people sometimes, but also being disabled, it takes a toll on me. Like it's just not being able to be myself. Like it's impossible to ask for help because I don't know how, but I'm the first person to jump and go help people, even with while I'm walking with my cane and I can't even lift a bag of bread. You know what I mean? And it just it's the roller coaster that makes it so hard. And like some people, oh, I get it, I get it. No, you don't, because you just sit there and you tell me, oh, brush it off, get over it. Like this, yeah, it's easier said than done, but that doesn't help. That's not
Yeah,
easy.
it's not.
I've
It's
even
not
had
something you could just
uh,
get over.
I've
It's
had
something that you have to
psychiatrists
learn to live
pass
with.
me over. Yeah, I've had psychiatrists pass me over because of the different things with me, and that they're just like, wow, like I honestly can't help you right now. You need someone else's, like just so many different variations because everything gets so compiled. And then when you do have a chance sometimes and you take a risk, and then if it gets thrown back at you, then you're even more upset. So you become even more secluded.
Yeah.
And like, like I'm depressed. I suffer from severe depression as well. I'm clinically diagnosed with depression. I can hide my depression like it's the best. Like no one ever knows. It's just, but that's the way it has to be because you don't want people bugging you or fucking watching you. Or, it's funny. Like when things do happen, it's the only time people decide to call me. When things happen to other people, then they decide to check in on me. It's like, yeah, I'm still alive, buddy. Don't worry. If I ain't
Yeah.
dead yet, it ain't killed me so far. It's it's so hard. I struggled for years and years to try and talk and how to figure out how to talk. And I mean, like I struggled with my ex-wife with conversation and openness. I still kind of struggle with my partner now. It's not easy to just open up. I'm a little bit better at it now, but it's still like this is damn hard, man.
What do you think it
It's
is
just
that
damn hard.
prevents you from opening up and talking?
Um, Probably kind of like the fear of being like overjudged or and like made fun of, like most people would do to a point.
Mhm.
Ridicule.
It's just yeah, yeah. And then like I don't, and just like feel some of the feeling of, I guess you could feel like shameful kind of in my own opinion. I don't know. It's difficult.
Yeah.
But it's and like people still, it's a running joke. Oh yeah, guys have feelings now. Like yeah, we've always had them. We
Yeah.
just finally we're allowed to talk about them a little bit and not get made fun of so much.
Yeah, like I'm wondering, like, why is there even one or the other? Why is it you're either a man or you're like, with
But we'll
feelings?
see.
Like, I don't like, why is it like, because isn't a man like a human? Humans have feelings. Like, you don't get rid of those. Like, everybody. So
Yeah.
it just confuses me why. And I'm not a man, so this is why I'm asking you is so why is that such a big thing in, your world, in the man's world?
Look, because it's supposed to be, like I'm dad, I'm grandpa. We're supposed to be big and strong, and we're supposed to be the mountain. And nothing moves the mountain. But I mean, hey, even the mountain has streams. Like everything's, there's holes and things and everything. And it's just because of that, I guess, the persona of having to kind of like carry all of that on your shoulders. So you're supposed to just be this tough rock.
And I think it's the societal standards too, right? Like where men are the stronger sex and men can handle anything and boys don't cry and all the shit that we were fed our entire life, right?
Yeah, I hate that. That's why I try and tell my youngest daughter, I'm like, hey man, come swing the hammer, come check out the trades, look at construction, like drive a machinery. Like that thing that pisses me off, that whole thing. Anybody can do anything as far as I'm concerned. Like if you can weld, you can weld. Hey, great. I don't care what sex you are, as long as you can do the damn work. It shouldn't matter. And that, like, that's probably part of it for me too, because of that persona, that it kind of irks me in a different way. And especially me having two daughters of my own, I got to see it differently.
Absolutely.
Growing up as an only child with freaking A through Z, me and my ADHDs, and just trying to figure out life up and down. And then now, like, seeing, like, okay, well, I'm dad, I'm a grandpa, I have feelings because I have to watch for my kids and I have to help my kids grow. And I don't want to raise assholes. I want to raise kids that are understanding and can figure stuff out and aren't like me. I don't want my kids to be like me, but hey, life happens. And it's just, the stigma is so, like, even talking to a couple of my friends prior to me doing this is like, because I was nervous. And even that, like, there's a couple of them where it showed good support. The other ones were like kind of humming and hawing. Like, it's like, well, what? Because I'm not supposed to have feelings? Is that what you're humming and hawing about? Or like, it's just, it sucks because even you can't always even talk to some of your close friends. And then you finding professionals to talk to, well, unless you got a lot of money, it ain't easy. I've done the shrinks and the social workers, and I've done it all through the doctors with the extra help through the outreach programs at the hospital, even before, when going through the car accident litigation, and that, having professional help, like that was a bit more. But I mean, that was the professional help that cost like $500 an hour. I don't have that kind of money. Like, it's just, some things are just so unattainable. It makes it very hard.
Yeah, it really does, because then you don't feel like you're worthy enough of the help because you can't afford it and you can't do this. Like, it's just bullshit.
Yeah,
it needs to be streamlined. Like,
and now I'm being a burden. So then, and then you feel like a burden, and then you feel like you're better off not here, so that no one's worrying about it, so that you're not causing a problem, you're not putting throwing a stone in the way, you're not
all
rippling,
those feelings
rocking
you're
the
already
boat.
having.
It's the vicious downward spiral. Like, and it happens like that. Like, it takes nothing to, like, you've seen it, we've all been through it. It's unpredictable. You don't know.
I suffer with anxiety, depression, like, big time. This because we're open about it, right? Our friend group are really good people. We kind of know all of the ins and outs of each other, and we're very protective of each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're lucky enough to have each other for many years.
God.
That's the thing.
I don't know.
Nowadays,
honestly,
kids don't even have friends for 2 years. Like, it's
right?
like, man, we're friends of over 15 years.
Yeah.
Like, now these kids can't even have a friend for 5 days.
Yeah.
And it's just, you still see some of the, like, the generational stigma and stereotype towards it all, where the man's man, and that, and you see it in the kids, and I hate it. I'm glad, I'm lucky enough that my son knows about emotion. Like, he's still a little bit withheld, but he knows it's okay to talk, and it's okay to feel things and be a person, and to be not soft, but I don't even know the word.
Vulnerable.
Human.
Vulnerable.
Yeah. Being allowed to be normal, like, like you're supposed to be, like they say we're supposed to be, so that we're not just stuck in our heads and feeling alone all the time.
Exactly.
And when we're like that, it ends up being, one of our loved ones wants to help, but we're in our head and lost, so we snap and lash out, and it's always at the ones we love first. It's always who we're always mean to is the closest ones to us that love us the most, because some of it is just because we know that you love us so much that you're going to take our bullshit no matter what. And that's kind of sometimes our only outlet. It's our, even though it's negative, it's when it's the only outlet you have. It's the only outlet you have. Even though it's a negative one, it can be damaging sometimes, but I mean, hey, you know, it's sometimes when it's all you got, it's all you got.
Yeah. For sure.
You say you've been dealing with this kind of stuff for like a long time. What's like a long time?
Pretty much since elementary school, grade 5, 6.
And what were some of the first things you noticed that maybe where you felt like you needed to get some help, or that you were struggling?
Severe depression and boredom, and then acting out, and then getting so kind of crazy too. Like even back then, I attempted suicides. I've tried to jump in front of buses. I've tried to hang myself a couple times. I've what else? God, I've tried to overdose on pills and and that. Tried to put myself to sleep in the car. You know, just tried slitting my wrists, even doing it the right way, not the wrong way, so they say. But thank goodness, you know, I'm still here. I'm happy I failed all those times. You know, I'm glad I failed. I'm the one thing I'm happy about failing at is that. Yeah, so I wouldn't have my kids.
What would you say mostly with like the mental health care system that you went through, because you've been in it for so long, up to like, you know, quite recent. So like I had a lot of more experience with it more later, like earlier on in life, and that. So I haven't really had too much experience with it for personally in the last few years. But for you have. So what would you say is the difference between the system we had when you were younger to versus it now?
At least now there is more people that are understanding of the, like before it was like kind of like ADD, in that it didn't really exist. You just had too much sugar, or you just had, you know, there's actual like understanding more now. People actually, like when you talk about things, they're like, oh yeah, okay, you know, I saw something here. There's stuff that you can actually relate to, things like to back up your, like how you feel in that. Because sometimes too with the stuff, like when you're feeling and thinking, like it's like, am I just totally crazy? Am I the only person that thinks this way, feels this way, sees this stuff? Well, now that there's more involvement in it, there's literature there that backs you up and lets you know, yeah, no, there is things there, and it's, some of the causes could be this, some of the causes could be that. You can actually find some answers now. They're not always the right answer or the best answer, but you can actually find them.
And you know you're not alone.
Before, like, yeah, like I know in high school and that, trying to find out anything, like you going to shrinks and that, there's nothing. They just, you know, here, take some pills, you know, see you next week. And then from, like, you know, from over so many years and being more recently, there's like, I can go and pick up books, I can jump online, and I can go down a rabbit hole just trying to figure out, and sometimes, as bad as it can be, it's actually helpful, because I've fallen down that rabbit hole looking at what the hell's making me feel so twisted and unright. And then all of a sudden, whatever was making me twisted right, I'm not there so much anymore, because I've been reading information on it. So I've kind of like untwisted some of the wires in my head a little bit. That's just kind of like a coping mechanism, though. But it's the thing. There's more readily available information and help. Yeah, like even with all the encyclopedias before the internet, there was never really much information for, per se, men's mental health, or even somewhat to a lot of mental health in general. to a point before. Like it's especially in kids and that too. Now there's so many good studies and people are following it correctly. It's improved. I'm sure like it could still get better, but it's a lot better from my first time that I can remember to my more recent one a couple of years ago. Even like I still read things to this day. I have my different apps and stuff like that, you know. So I mean, that's the thing too. There is so much more information and a lot more help available now too. And especially with the stigma, you can jump on your phone where no one knows what you're doing. And even though it shouldn't be so private, but you can privately try and look for help or try and figure stuff out. But like that's the problem. You shouldn't have to keep doing it privately. It's shitty. Like we're just supposed to be non-existent and just be a big rock.
Yeah.
It just plays with your head. Yeah,
What would you like to see? Is there any kind of improvements that you're like, you know what, this is what needs to happen? This is what would help me if they just had this in place, coming from like a male perspective or any perspective?
It would be awesome if they had more of like an outreach program for men, kind of like how they have the women shelters, the places, because those places they help the women and the children, which that's great. That's what they're for. But there's literally not like I can't go to a men's shelter and get help. If I'm lucky, I might get a floor to sleep on. There's no help for anything there. Like there's and even the few outreach programs they have at St. Joe's and the West Fifth, they're far and few between, and they're like more indirect towards everybody. They are helpful, but it's still nothing like direct. Like the only direct programs there are is Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, and even that's mixed. And then that's just more towards your abuses and your vices than what's going on in your head. So I don't know. That's the only main thing I can think, and for everyone to just stop hating on guys having feelings. Man, I know freaking big juice donkeys that cry too. You know, right? It doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are, what you look like. It's okay to have feelings and be a person, man.
Yeah.
It's just, it sucks that it's so hard to do so.
I think a lot of guys just have a hard time, even like they may feel it at home by themselves, but it's like as soon as you hit anybody else, it's like, I have to hide this isn't who I am, and that must be hard too.
Yeah, you got to put on your tough guy's persona. Yeah, like nothing bothers me. I'm made of steel. I'm Superman.
Yeah,
it makes it difficult because, well, then it's more you're building on your depression because you're just pushing all your other feelings down. At least that's what happens to me, and then it just starts that vicious cycle all over. That, you know, when you're trying to get help and help yourself, you're trying to avoid that, but then just the way society is, you automatically accidentally put yourself back into it.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's just, and it sucks to see so many people suffer like myself. And I, you know, like I said, I'm glad I failed at the attempt stuffs. And like, I've lost so many friends and seen so many friends of friends and everything just lose to the battle. And a lot of it's just because it's shunned upon for them to want to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Or need to talk to somebody. And that's the
or
thing too.
There's even to talk to somebody because they feel like it's weak.
Yeah.
But it's not. Like it. Yeah. Paul, you know I love you. You are one of my brothers, but there were many times throughout the years where I was like seriously scared for you.
Yeah. Because I still get scared for myself.
You don't know what to do, you know, like even as somebody on the outside looking in, like you don't know how to help somebody when they're not.
You can't help yourself.
Yeah,
and we don't want the help as much as you want to try. we don't want the help because we don't know what the hell to do.
And we don't know how to let people help because we don't want to look weak.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to, yeah, it makes you feel inferior, not worthy. Yeah. Like weak, like I can't handle things.
What made
And,
you
you know,
want to
and
get
then it
help?
lays on the downward spiral. The look on my kids' faces once I saw just how bad things were. And once I realized just how horrible it was, like just being a mobile train wreck and literally just fucked up, pardon my language, on
Yeah, no, go ahead.
anything possible just to keep me. I was literally like high and drunk all the time, but I was sober because that's just what it took for me to get to a level to kind of sail through life, to be able to just deal with it.
Mm.
And then just like to push the, you know, the thoughts of suicides and other things, harm, self-harm, to try and push those away. But then all you kind of do is, in the long run, you're just feeding them.
Yeah.
And then it makes it worse, especially like, you know, not to say it's a good thing, but sometimes substances can help. A lot of other times, especially when you mix it with alcohol, it just gets bad. Like, I, not to hate on just alcohol, but I've just,
Oh, I
and
think
I like,
you froze on us.
We lose them again.
We lost them. And I think we lost him completely. Oh, he's back.
Oh, there he is.
oh, there I am.
There you are.
Woohoo. Yeah. There, see, even technology got sick of me. You want to talk about stuff, and now even technology doesn't want to listen to me. Yeah, and I don't know, just learning. It seems like learning to try even there. Like normally, if I was drinking or something like that, that would have just pissed me off, and I probably would have whipped my phone across the room. Now it's just something funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, not to say substances are good, but I've seen people better themselves cutting out one thing and doing a little bit of the other, even if it's just to get themselves through parts of recovery or parts of getting help. It's I don't know. I believe in the holistic ways too. I've always been a pro pop person for helping everything, for most things, and it does for me. It does a lot for me. I mean, I'd rather, it's better than eating too many pills, and that's the thing too. They always, when you go to get help, it's just they just want to give you pills. Like
Yeah.
I I was taking like 30 something pills prescribed at one point during a day. Like it was just, it's absurd.
Yeah.
Absurd. And then that plays on you too. It's like, well, I don't want to go ask for help because all they're going to do is try and hand me pills and send me on my way. So what's the point? I'll fall down the bottom of this bottle and, you know, get on to the next one.
Yeah. I find that they don't really want to necessarily help me with what's creating me to feel depressed, and that they just want to take away the, you know, the symptoms of it and give me some medication. And so that's why I have a hard time. And I, to this day, barely go and see a doctor. I'm not on any medication. I'm like, fuck that. I will figure it out on my own.
Yeah, they just want to manage the symptoms. They don't want to reach the core. And 8 out of 10 times, it's childhood trauma. It's something that you have been traumatized by as a child that is
self-inflicted, probably, but hey. Yeah, it's because you know, some of it, you think back to some of, you know, when you're thinking about stuff that bothers you, and that's like the first things you can think of is like when one of those very first things you remember is being younger that affected you, and that's some of that, right? Like, you know, for me being an only child, I can't say my brother and my sister twisted me. No, I was just an asshole. I always, you know, push the limits, figure, you know, is like the personality disorder in me was just like go, almost like Jekyll and Hyde to a point. like thrill seeking and death defying. It's just,
Yeah.
it is what it is. And then that adds to things, because if you're already a bit of a thrill seeker, when you get depressed and other things, you can get pretty goddamn creative on ways of fucking being retarded. Like it's, and that's like scary too, because things happen in the freaking blink of an eye. And you go, and then again you go for help and you're weak, or you just get pills, and then you're trying to find help. And like I've slipped between the cracks, I've been on top of the cracks, I've been on both sides of the coin kind of deal. And it's hard as hell. It's hard as hell. And unless you got like a shit ton of money, that can make it easier, but it's still difficult.
Yeah, it's deflating too, right? Because it's like, oh my God, like, am I gonna have to live with this for the rest of my life? Like, rest of my life. So it's almost devastating in a sense, because you're like, okay, I'm just gonna have to cope.
I don't even like myself right now. How the hell am I going to keep going for how many more years? That's part of the problem. It's like, here, take these pills and we'll talk to you next week. Well, okay, but what are the pills going to do?
Right.
And that, I think, is
I'd rather,
that I think is where we need to start kind of stepping up, and like, instead of just looking at like the symptoms and giving us the medication, like let's really get down to the bout of what's causing us. Because a lot of us who are diagnosed with, like I was diagnosed with bipolar, borderline, like you name it, I was diagnosed with it. And I don't take any medication. I manage my shit with my thoughts, because and I try to figure out, okay, certain things have happened to me. Let's look at it from this way. Let's figure out what's causing me to feel this way and all this kind of jazz, and work on that. But unfortunately, not everybody knows how to do that. And then you feel like you're alone, and then you feel like, there's no help for me, especially if I don't have money. And it's just, there's so many things on top of it, just piles and piles on top of people. Yeah, and that's exactly what happens, right? But the doctor, it starts with the first call, going to the doctor, and the doctor going, okay, let's actually see and figure out what's going on with you, not just give you medication. And that's the problem, because right now their first go-to is medication.
Yeah, like honestly,
or
if I
it seems
had to
like
go for
anyway.
help, if I had an episode or anything right now and I had to go for help, I'd probably go directly to the brand new West Fifth up on the mountain. I wouldn't even go to the St. Joe's down here. Like, it's good in that, but I felt more humanistic and like a person there than the times I've spent in other psych wards and other hospitals. It's to me, it's like you don't feel shame for needing help when you go there, I found, which is sad to say. Feeling shameful because you want help,
Paul, because nobody should ever feel shame for needing help. Would people shame you if you needed glasses? Would people shame you if you needed
our friends do, their assholes. Yeah.
But no, because you need help for mental health, it's shameful? No.
Yeah. Yeah, it shouldn't be.
It's just, for me, it's terrifying, because not only my situation with my brother, but doing research after all of that, Paul, because you know me, I'm a person who does due diligence. 8 out of every 10 suicides are men.
Yep. Especially single fathers that are estranged.
I bawled like a baby when I read that. Like, what the fucking hell is going on? Why? Where did
Christmas time is the highest time.
Yeah, like, where did we miss it? Like, when did we drop the ball on that shit?
It's like, because like growing up, like, little boys are told, don't cry, suck it up, be a man. Like little boys are being told that. That's where that fucking shit comes from. So like and that's where we need to stop the cycle. And us parents don't realize, and I was guilty of it too. Like when my kids were growing up, I was like, don't say that to your brother, you're gonna hurt his feelings. Well, no, what I should be saying is, let's talk about why you're saying that, and blah blah blah, blah. And you're not hurting his feelings. He's hurting his own feelings because all you're doing is saying words. Like if he's gonna make it mean one way, then that's on him. So he needs to look at that. And like I would have brought my kids up differently if I would have known then what I know now about the fact that men have feelings. They're human. We're all human. We're all gonna have feelings. Stop trying to avoid them. Stop trying not to feel them, because they're there. When we try not to feel them, that's when the problems happen. And men are told not to feel them. That's why the statistics are so high with men.
Yeah. We're like
I've
we're left out in the cold.
Like doozies with my son's father, because he's Jamaican, and in their culture it's all like, be a
tough
man,
guy.
right? Tough love. And
Yeah.
he always says, like, you're gonna turn him into a pussy and blah blah blah. And I'm like, listen, I don't care. I allow my son to have feelings. We talk about it, and I tell him, if you feel like you're gonna cry, cry. Let it
being
out.
educated and having feelings shouldn't be considered being weak.
No, because I know what it is like, Paul, to bottle up those feelings.
Yeah.
You know me well. I was very aggressive because I was angry, because I was bottling up feelings, that I was trying to be so tough and strong, and I'm not weak. So I did a lot of fucked up shit to people.
Yeah, I still apologize to people.
I was projecting my anger for the shit that I was bottling up onto them. And like, that's okay.
It takes more strength to feel your feelings than it does to avoid it. Avoiding it and reacting to it is yelling, screaming, drinking. It's easy to do that shit. It's more difficult to feel the feelings. And so for when people say, oh, you're weak because you're feeling your feelings, well, actually, you got it fucking wrong, bitch. Like, I'm more strong than you because I'm willing to show up and feel my fucking feelings.
Yeah.
You know what it's
I'm
like
taking all this and I'm still fighting through it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
So what are some of the things you do now that help you cope? Sorry,
for me, one of my favorite things is going outdoors, going for a walk, going outside, doing like whatever, like even with the kids or the grandkids or my partner. And I love being in the water. Really, those are a couple of the great things that help me. A basic distraction is, somewhat the games on the phone or playing some video games, because it kind of like takes you out of your headspace and, you kind of just drift off.
Yeah.
Like that's just sometimes I like to read in color. There's other little tidbitty things here and there, but that's like the more basic thing. Like if I get really worked up in that, I just walking out of the room, out of the house, like even if it's out onto the back porch or the front porch, just like for some reason stepping out into nature, even if it's freezing cold and snowing, like even the rainstorm, that going out just helps for some reason. I don't know, the grounding feeling. I don't know what it is.
It's the grounding.
Like I just, it just makes me like it can help so much. Just going that outside for that bit. And then too, like sometimes with frustration, that's where video games are good too, because you play the right game, you can smash stuff and you get out that bit of rage, and it's just on a game, so it doesn't matter. But I mean, even to get, like, it's taken me a long fucking time to even get to be able to like talk to people like that stuff. Before I just fucking rage out and fucking snap and do all kinds of shit. Like my kids are still getting used to the fact that when things go wrong now, instead of dad snapping and losing his shit, it's like, okay, well, what are we gonna do? Like I rationalize, I can figure things out. Things are a little more understandable with a bit of help, and for me it's the no alcohol, because it just clouds all of your judgment, and the alcohol pushes down on the depression. I know 9 out of 10 times when I tried to harm myself, and that alcohol was the biggest factor. It was the biggest factor for a lot of things. It plays severely, and especially if you're messing with your meds and that too, it's a recipe for disaster, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. right? It just makes the depression worse, even though we feel like, oh, well, we'll just have a few drinks to make us
Feels
feel better,
great
to make us
now.
happy. But then,
One
boom,
tequila,
we've
two
crashed,
tequila
and now we
floor.
want to
Yep.
kill ourselves, and and now we're cutting ourselves and all that other jazz,
Yeah, with
and
Paul, it
want to
was
take
never
pills and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Paul, it was never a few drinks. I
Oh,
think there was very
a few drinks was
times
breakfast.
Yeah, I think there was very few times where like you drank and had like a good time.
Yeah.
It usually ended up in self-destructive behavior in one way or another.
I had booze hidden in my car so that I had Kahlua hidden so that I could put it in my coffee in the morning. I had booze hidden under seats in the toilet seats at work, like in the toilet tanks. Like I and then all my other drugs too, and then all my meds, and just giving her like it was. Sometimes I wonder like how the fuck am I still standing from all the shit that I was doing constantly just to try and just so I can try and walk through life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're
like,
walking through
no
life
help.
with none of that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of it.
It's better.
And it's
better.
possible.
Like I did get some help. Yeah, I got the help. It wasn't easy. It's still not easy, but still always scared every day because you never know. But I just try and look forward. I just try and think of the positive things, even when everything is super shitty, which happens every day anyway. So, plot twist. Let's move on. I don't know. It's still challenging for me. I'm still learning. It's been, I don't know. It's been a hell of a roller coaster for me, and I'm still here, I guess. So I got that.
I'm so fucking proud of you, Polly, and I'm
Thank you.
glad that you were unsuccessful every single time.
Yeah.
Because I know, my life would be a lot different without you here. As we grow up, everybody has lives and plans, and we don't spend as much time together, but you are one of my people.
Yeah. Pick up the phone. If it's been 6 months, it's only yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way it should be. Even if you don't talk every day, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. We're family,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot, man. And I've watched you because it's been over 20 years, our friendship.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You've seen me up and down
30,
through. See me prior to marriage, during marriage, after marriage. Teen years, being a punk. Like, yeah, you've seen a lot of my roller coaster, Izzy. A lot of it.
I know.
And like, hey, I'm surprised I'm still alive. I'm just glad I am. That's the only thing I am confident of these days. Is even the bad days, like still have those constant feelings every day. Had some of those feelings earlier today. It's just trying to do my best to brush them off. Thank goodness, the grandkids are close. So I have my son here too right now. So they, you got the reminders, but it's still it's a constant battle that is hard, and it's still hard to talk to people.
Yeah, because you're
hey,
battling
we're not
yourself.
supposed to have feelings.
It's like you're not battling a monster. You are battling the monster within you. Like you're battling yourself. So it's like,
son of a bitch.
How do you even suit up for that?
Yeah, that motherfucker's a prick.
Right. He sure fucking can be.
Oh yeah, fuck. Hey,
I love him,
know I'm
but
an
he
asshole.
Can be a real fucking dick. Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry for being an asshole when I am. Fuck, I still love you.
Yeah, you've never been an asshole to me, but I see you do some asshole shit.
Yeah, I try to apologize for some of life now. I try not to be so bad nowadays, but I mean, unless you deserve it, then hey, that's just your own damn fault.
Yeah. No, I know.
What would you say to the people out there that's listening, watching us right now, that are struggling and are out there cycling downhill, doing the, thrill-seeking, depression, pills, drinking, all that kind of shit? Yeah, to the men out there.
As much as you don't think there is help, there is some. It's hard to find that one right friend, close relative, someone. It's very hard to pick that person. Don't do it fast. I've had it backfire even with close friends, family, and it's backfired on me. There is more help available now. And all I can say is you've got kids and family, no matter how much you're feeling about yourself, when you don't want to be here, it's actually a lot worse when you're not here. Even though you think you're not going to be the problem because you're not there anymore, you just leave a huge void instead.
Absolutely.
Just all I got to just try and make that phone call for help. Ghost actually helps. Like it's I've used it a few times. It's there is some help that you can try and get. Just please try. Please try for yourself and for anyone else you love. That's it.
You guys heard it. Don't give up. Paul's glad he didn't, succeed at what he would try to do. So, and I'm female and I tried it and I'm glad I didn't succeed. And majority of the people that I talk to, not majority, every single one of the people that I've talked to that have tried to kill themselves have said that they are so happy that they did not do it. And so let that just be something for you to sink in, because you don't want to be the statistic. You guys, there is help out there. There may not be the best of help. There may not be a lot of help, but there is some sort of help out there. You can always reach out to me. You can always reach out to Isabel. We've always got you as well. And as you all know, I'm going to say it today. I'm going to say it on everyone. Isabel is hosting a memorial walk, Say His Name, on Sunday, August 13th at 11 a.m. We'll be meeting across the street from emergency room of St. Joseph's Hospital on James Street. The address is 232 James Street. There's a walk-in clinic there with a parking lot and all that jazz. And then we'll be walking around the hospital. We will end at the front steps of City Hall, where we will celebrate all those we've lost. We'll celebrate Barry. We'll celebrate all those who are still here fighting the fight. So come join us for pizza, cupcakes, treats, and just celebrate and chat, and just know you're not alone. We will all be there. So please, we are welcoming you all to come. And again, Paul, thank you so much for coming and sharing, your story with us. And, I know it's not easy, especially as a male. It's definitely not easy. So I appreciate it. And I know all the viewers do too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Polly. I love you so much.
No worries. I love you too, Izzy.